Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest today. I'm really brought her in for the bullpen, okay? A last-minute replacement. I got a call from Don Giordano, who was to be my guest this morning, and something happened in Philadelphia. I get tied up in the traffic, and so I made a fast call to the district attorney. I said, I need help. I called Oscar Vance, and Oscar Vance says, get in touch with district attorney's office. Okay, Risa Vetri, right?
You got it.
And
Furman,
right. I always like everybody to pronounce their own names because you can pronounce your name better than I can, right?
No, I'll get you going.
Okay, let me hear it. It's like
Risa Vetri Furman.
Okay, right. And she is the first assistant district attorney working in Montgomery County, and Bruce Castor is the district attorney. And for you, the job you have is one of the toughest jobs, second in command, right? And your job is mostly murder cases, some of the top murder cases in Montgomery County.
My job is the greatest job. Let me say that first. Working for Bruce Castor in the district attorney's office is an incredible experience.
Great. Yeah, I interviewed him here. It's great, great. I'm glad. I'm so thankful that we have our good police departments in Montgomery County. We have a district attorney's office. We got county detectives. We're in good shape, Montgomery County. I had Matthew, our commissioner, and our county, we're in good shape. And so now in having you as the first district, it's the first that we ever got together. And I never worked with you when I was a former county detective, but we're going to hear a lot about you now. I want to know everything about you, so everybody, the whole audience, East Norton, West Norton, Norristown, will know everything about you. Ready? Now,
Thank you so much.
Tell me something about your family.
Well, I'm from over in Abington, where I've spent most of my life. I was born in Philadelphia and moved to Abington around 10, and been there for a long time. We lived in Cheltenham, and now back in Abington. I have 3 kids.
What high school did you go to?
Oh, Abington High School.
Abington, okay.
Galloping Ghosts.
And then?
Graduated from Abington. I went to the University of Pennsylvania for college. I worked for a while. I worked in my father's business. We had a family business, sold jewelry.
What did he do?
He sold jewelry.
Oh, yeah? Oh, no, wait a minute. Now, let's get to this here now. Yeah, you got an interesting name, okay? Now, tell me about your father.
My father is Sal Vetri. Barbara and Sal Vetri are my parents. My father's family is from Sicily. My mother's family.
Sicily? Whoa, Sicily. Hey, that's what I am, right? My parents come from Sicily.
The connection
hey, we got Sicilian over here. Shakidan. I'm from Shakidan. That's a group that they call Shakidan is like from Sicily. Shaka. Shaka's like a little town in Sicily, like Brooklyn in the United States.
Well, we're from another little town. It's called Enna. It's right in the center of Sicily.
How do you spell it?
Enna is E-N-N-A. And if you look at Sicily and you look at it on the map, if you look right in the center, a little dot right in the center, that's where my family's from.
Oh, yeah. And you've been there to visit?
Well, I can't say we visit a lot, but I have been there. My family took a trip when I was about 18 years old. We all went together, all my aunts and uncles, my parents, my brothers. We filled up a bus. We toured all around Italy, and we drove that bus down to Enna.
In Sicily?
Drove down to Sicily, drove to Enna, pulled into the middle of town, and I'll tell you what, the whole town came out. I think we're related to everybody in that town.
Yeah.
So yeah. I can understand what being from Shaka must be like.
Oh yeah, great. And now on your father's time, you're Jewish.
On my mother's side.
On your mother's side, it's Jewish.
Mother's family is from Eastern Europe, all from Poland, and they came over here.
Poland, right? Well, hey, you got all the best ingredients for a politician. A politician, be a little Jewish, a little Italian. Sounds like Mayor LaGuardia. Mayor LaGuardia, that's the same ingredients he had.
Got a lot of interesting...
So who knows? Maybe I'll be campaigning for you for some higher office.
Maybe.
At this time.
Maybe.
All right. And, okay, now, you are first assistant. And that's a big responsibility. In other words, you oversee cases as they come in and assign cases to different people. How's that work?
There are a lot of parts of my job. Overall, as second in command in the district attorney's office, I have responsibilities for overseeing everything that we do, our district attorney side and our county detective bureau. On the district attorney side, we have a support staff and a staff of assistant district attorneys of about 80 people.
80?
We have about 80 on the DA side and 40 on the county detective side. We prosecute all the criminal cases that come through Montgomery County, and it's my job to make sure that we do it right.
Right.
So we take new assistant DAs, we train them, we teach them how to be lawyers. We teach them how to investigate cases, we just teach them how to do their jobs. My job is to make sure that from start to finish, things go as they're supposed to. I work very closely with the bench in Montgomery County. We have a terrific bench.
Yeah, we got, well,
absolutely great.
Yeah.
Work with our public defender's office, with our defense bar. When you say we're lucky in Montgomery County, we're lucky from the law enforcement side, but in so many ways too. The whole system, the whole criminal justice system works beautifully, and we all work together to make it happen.
That's right, that's right.
So that's a huge part of my job, making sure that from the start of a criminal case through the end of it, we do the right thing and we do our jobs well. On the detective side, I work very closely with the county detectives.
Oscar Vance is Chief of County Detectives,
Chief
right?
County Detective.
I worked with him. You know, I'm a former
Terrific.
county detective
I know
myself,
that.
you know.
Terrific office,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
just a terrific, terrific guy. I work with them and oversee all the homicide investigations. I work very closely with all the different units. We have a drug unit, a major crimes unit.
Well, how does that work now? Let's say that there's a serious murder or, you know, a cutting or something that a small department don't have the facilities or the manpower to make an investigation. They call the district attorney's office for assistance. How's that work?
That's a great question. It's not just the small departments. The way we work here in the county is I think, very different from the way other places work. In Montgomery County, all homicide investigations, no matter where it happens, no matter big department, small department, they call our office, they call county detectives in the DA's office.
As soon as
it happens.
Right.
As soon as something happens, they get the call, county detectives get called, and we go out and we work it together.
Right.
And we just flood the area with manpower.
Right.
So the local department has people, we have people. I will get a phone call whenever it happens. If for some cases, I will personally go out and actually go to the scene. For some cases, I'm in direct contact with our deputy chief at Justice.
Justice, great guy.
Terrific.
Right, right.
And we work with them on every homicide case from start to finish. So the idea is, from the beginning of a homicide case, because you know, you investigated
Right.
these cases, you get as much manpower as you can at that location,
Right.
because the first few hours are critical.
Right.
So you have to get it done, and no matter how big a department is, you still need more. You get as much help as you can, and you do it right from the very
And
beginning.
good cooperation. That's, you know, that's one of the, you hear a lot of stories about lack of cooperation between departments and, you know, just like the Kennedy murder or assassination, because the departments were feuding between them, whether this was going to take over, the other guy was going to take over. So that this in Montgomery County now, when you say that they call the county detectives in, boom, they work and, you know, they work together
All
to
work
solve
together.
the crime.
You know what? There's no room for ego. There's no room for one person thinking they're better than anybody else. We all work together,
Right.
and we get it done.
That's important. You know, I think I remember something about the Scotland Yards. They tell us, different police departments, you don't call us within the first couple hours or something, then we won't get involved, because it's so important for the first person on the scene of the crime to preserve the evidence, make sure they don't mess everything up before they start the fingerprinting and all the other
Absolutely.
detailed investigations. So I see your point. You know,
And then-
that's why you train police officers to be to preserve the evidence and make sure that everything is working, right?
Make sure that everything's done right. And it's not just that. The crime scene is critical, but also making sure you have enough people to conduct interviews,
That's
to get the
right.
witnesses
Get it
interviewed.
covered.
We do. And we learn, you have young police officers who maybe haven't done a homicide investigation. We're there to teach them. But in a lot of our departments, you have incredibly skilled detectives who work with us. They teach us. We all learn from each other.
Right,
And just do
right.
the very best job that we can.
And then, all right, now, tell me, you have now murder cases. We're talking major crimes. Are you assigned strictly, mostly murder, or is there any other type of crimes that you do?
I'll take a few cases that I'll actually prosecute myself. As first assistant, it's really hard because I would love to prosecute so many more cases, but the day-to-day responsibilities that I have just as an administrator in the office make it really hard for me to get into court and prosecute cases. But I always try to have a few. So I'll usually take homicide cases, or I'll take sexual assault cases. From the time I started in the office, I did sexual abuse cases, and I like doing them, and I think I got to be pretty good at doing them, so I'd like to take them and keep my hand in those kind of cases as well, just because I really have a connection with the kids who I've worked with.
And you've got a busy job, and how many children you have?
Oh, I've got 3 kids.
All right,
Got
3 kids. I
at
want
home,
to know
too.
how old they are, and I want to know their names. So when they say, "Hey, Mom, you didn't mention my name," come on.
I have 3 kids. Had them all while I've been in the office, too. I have a 10-year-old
Yeah.
girl. Her name is Jenna. I have an 8-year-old boy. His name is Ben, and a 6-year-old boy.
Ben.
Ben.
That's my father's name was Benjamin.
That's a good name, Benjamin.
That's a great name.
And a 6-year-old boy named Jacob.
Oh, yeah. That's
And they
good.
keep me on my toes.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
busy
right,
at the office, but probably busier at home.
And you attended Penn State? Penn State?
Not Penn State. I actually lived right around the corner from Penn State, but I went to the University of Pennsylvania.
Oh, University. Oh, that's right. Okay. Penn State and University of
Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
down there. I lived down there in West Philadelphia for a little while.
And you're originally from South Philly?
No, my family, my dad's family is from South Philly, and they still live down there. Got
Oh,
a lot
yeah?
of aunts and uncles and cousins down there.
Whereabouts in South Philly?
Down near the stadium and Spectrum.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
Colorado Street, 17th,
Right.
18th, right around
It's a
there.
big traffic jam,
Gerard,
right?
what do they call Gerard Estates?
Uh,
Now, my dad was from 9th and League, so he lived down there, and when my grandparents were alive, we used to visit them every week.
Now you take the county detectives, when you, they're like, just say, do you, if a police department has to go to a district justice hearing, does the district attorney go and assist the police on a hearing at the district justice level?
We don't do it for all of them, because there are thousands and thousands of criminal cases in the county. But on the serious ones,
In other
we
words,
do.
if they ask for special assistance?
We do a couple things. I mean, one is on the serious cases, we always will send an assistant DA to the hearing, and that's just because we have to make sure that the record is right. We want to make sure that we're involved from the beginning, and in a lot of cases, we think it's really important to have a DA, especially if there's a victim, a DA involved from the very beginning, so they can know the case as best as possible for when it comes up to court. So that's for the benefit of the whole case. A lot of times police departments will call on cases that aren't as serious, but for one reason or another, whether it's the officer is brand new or there's something complicated about it, they just want some help. And if that happens, we always try to send someone out. Sometimes if we can't, just because of manpower, we might even postpone the hearing just so we can get someone there for them. But if a police department needs something from us, we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that we can give them what they need.
We say, when I say, and I've been traveled around this country quite a bit, but I'm involved with the International Police Association, and I also the juvenile, most of my police work and background, I was 20-some years with Northtown Police Department, retired, and I went to county detectives, and I got around quite a bit. And I say that Montgomery County has best law enforcement as far as police departments and the courts and what have you. Tell me something about the district attorney's office. It's broke down in what? Do you have a section for sex crimes? Tell me something about that. Now, you're an administrator, so tell us just a layout so people know. You know, a lot of people don't realize something happens to them, that the district attorney is your lawyer, right? They say, "Oh, I'm going to go get a lawyer." If somebody beats you up, you don't have to go get a lawyer. You get the district attorney. Right?
We're there for 'em.
So tell me the different departments you have.
We have, obviously, everyone knows District Attorney Castor. He's the head of the office, and I work under him. Our offices are right next to each other. We have 4 what we call deputy district attorneys, 4 major divisions. We have our trials division, which is where all of the adult criminal cases are tried. We have our juvenile division, which is extremely busy.
That's my baby.
That's it. They do terrific work. We have our appellate division, which handles all of the appeals from any case that we have. So we have the deputy, and our pretrial division, which is where all of our new assistant DAs start, and where everyone is trained. So we have 4 deputy DAs who oversee those 4 divisions, and then within each division we have assistant DAs who are assigned. Now, the appellate division is relatively small. There are only a few people who work there, in the juvenile division and the pretrial division. Our trials division is the biggest one. We have about 20 people in that. And because we have so many people in that, that's where we're broken down into subspecialties. So we have DAs who do major crimes, violent crimes, just crimes against people. We have DAs who do sex crimes, whether against adults or against children. We have economic crime, which is all the financial crimes, theft and forgery and identity fraud, and a lot of very sophisticated white-collar cases, computer crimes, things like that. We have a unit that does narcotics work, which again, another very, very busy unit.
Yeah, that's a busy one.
We have a grand jury, which a lot of people have heard of.
Is that still going on?
Oh, that's still going on.
They still have it, huh?
Very busy. And then we have in Norristown, as I'm sure you're aware.
Is that the grand jury, is that a constant thing? They just have to assemble a group of people every once in a while? They have expires, and then they have to get...
It's about every year and a half, and we, as long as I've been in the office, maybe not from the very beginning, but once we started it up, I think in about 1994, we've had it consistently since then. And we always have a grand jury impaneled, and we use them. We use them as we need to. And then I'm sure you're familiar with the CLEAN Squad, the Combined Law Enforcement Agency Network, which we also have here in Norristown, and we're using that very aggressively now to go after gun violence here in the borough. So
and how about women abuse?
I'm sorry. Look at that. I forgot that.
Yeah.
We have a
No,
domestic
you didn't forget.
I did.
Hey, you've been moving on here with all these. You tell me all these things. You can't remember everything.
It's my job to remember everything.
Right. Well,
we have a domestic violence unit. Terrific Assistant DA Wally Brooks runs that unit, and she works very closely with all the agencies.
Who is it?
Her name is Wallace Brooks.
All right. In other words, she oversees that in case somebody has a complaint. They give her a call, or
you know what? Ordinarily,
how does that originate? If a lady, let's say the lady's getting beat up by her husband or boyfriend, or so she calls the police, and the police will tell her to go to district justice, and district justice will tell her to go to district attorney. What's the story on that?
You know, we try not to give people too much of that runaround. Really, they should call the police, because you have terrific police departments in the county, and that's where they have to start. Yeah. And what happens is we have one ADA who's working this unit, and she works with the police. So when someone who's been a victim of crime calls the police, when they need assistance from us, they'll call us. Sometimes they don't need assistance from us, and sometimes they take a case and they work it all the way through.
Work it out.
But sometimes they do need our help, and when they do, whichever unit it is, we'll work with them to see that the job gets done.
Yeah.
So we have all those different teams, and everybody is specialized in a particular area, but then everybody also, I mean, in terms of the DAs, they also handle a lot of more routine cases. I mean, everybody does DUI cases and things like that just have to get done because there's so many of them.
A lot of people don't realize you, as a district attorney, you have to, especially in the murder case, where you have to see what the cause of death. You say, well, I'm investigating, the guy was shot and everything, but when they have to go in an autopsy, you have to go there to the hospital and view the body. That's, you know, it takes a little guts to do that, you know. Right?
You know, it's a different, when you go to law school, you never really think about an autopsy.
Huh?
I mean, at least for me, when I went to law school, I never envisioned being in this field. And I have to say I went to law school because I wanted to stay away from anything that was science or medicine. And it's very ironic that now I spend so much of my time involved with that field.
Yeah.
But we do have to go. And you have to go to the scene and see what's happening at the scene, see what's there.
I remember Dr. Fillinger, when he's on the stand, he's testifying that, well, the bullet penetrated the heart and get the sear, the Pope, and they got all that. You know, people don't realize that you have to show the cause of the death, you know, and to build your story, you know. But you have to be there. You have to see it. And if you don't, you know, it's the old story. If you want to swim, you got to get in the water, and that's what you do.
Oh, we sure do get in the water. You know, you have to learn. In our job, you really have to become, when you have a case that's on a particular topic, you have to become an expert. So if you have a case where there's a computer crime, you have to understand the way the computer works. You know, a lot of these internet cases we see so much these days. You have to understand the way the internet works, the way the computer works, the way things happen.
Now. Right. In other words, that's a big thing on computer fraud and computer, you know. So now that you have people that are violating the law by the computer. So you have to have the special unit. You have a special unit that had to do with checking the computers and how they fraud and what have they.
We have a special unit in our County Detective Bureau. Part of our major crimes unit is dedicated to computer crime.
Oh, that's under detectives.
It's under detectives, and they do the investigation. But I've been lucky enough I have a few assistant DAs who have really developed an interest in that. And so even though they're not on a unit together or unto themselves, they're the people who I typically give those cases to. Some of the computer cases are fraud cases where people are stealing. You would not believe the amount of money that gets stolen over computers, whether it's via identity theft.
Run that by me. I mean, I'm going to act as if I don't know, so you're going to teach me. They're stealing money on the computer. What do you mean by that?
People have incredibly sophisticated schemes using computers, using banks, as ways to rip other people off. I mean, that's the bottom line. And they just find incredibly creative ways to do it, and we have to be ahead of them. We have to know what to look for. We have to know how to find them.
Oh,
we have to know
okay.
how to track them down. That's one piece in computer crime. Another thing that we see a lot is these internet crimes involving children. You have a lot of predators who go onto the computer and they try to go into chat rooms and find kids.
Oh, okay.
And then get these kids to go meet with them. And that's a whole scary little world.
Yeah.
And we have to be, again, ahead of them so that we can catch them before they actually do something. I mean, before they, God forbid, go and meet a kid and do something to a kid, we have to be ahead of them. So we have detectives who are very skilled in going after these people online. And
Well, that's
often we're
something.
really
In other
lucky,
words,
we get
that's
them ahead of
another
time.
whole big field. You know, the guy becomes a police officer. Well, I mean, a county detective. He has to learn all that when somebody's stealing with the computers. Now, I remember another thing, that you have to get a warrant for a computer. If a guy does something with the computer, you have to get an extra warrant to get the information out of the computer.
I think we're okay with them. We usually have to get search
'Cause I
warrants
remember I
to
went
get computers.
to a school and they said something about they had a warrant to pick up everything up in the computer, but they didn't have the warrant for the computer, the stuff that was in the computer. They had to get a separate
to go
warrant.
inside. You know,
So that's how technical, and they could lose a case on account of it, right?
because computers are still so new and because computer crime is still so new, the law is really changing on that. And we just have to stay on top of it. So that puts an added burden on the detectives and on the DAs. They just have to stay on top of everything to know what the most recent law is, the most recent cases. One of the detectives is constantly sending me things on computer crime from all around the country. And if there's a new law, if there's a new case that could affect the way we do business, I get it. They send it to me on the computer, and then I'll just send it out to the DAs to make sure everybody's up to date. But we have to stay on top of that, not just in that area, in so many other areas.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, whether it's in drug crimes or in sex crimes, the law changes in a lot of different ways, and we have to stay on top of it.
So, you know, I get a kick out of it. I met you the first time. Well, I've talked to you when I was in the company with Chief Oscar Vance. But I was surprised that the responsibility you have, and you're just, how about that? And you take all, and how many people in your office?
Our office is about 120 people total.
120 people. Because I know when I had the district attorney here, Castor, and he was talking about, you know, how proud he is of his staff and all. So I had never met you officially, and I'm really very I like your style. I like you got, what do they say? You got a lot of class. You got a class you haven't used yet. Okay, let's put it that way. Okay.
Oh, you're a sweetheart.
But
Thank you.
no, I think that you have working with you one of the best county detectives unit. You know, I can say because I work there, but also from what I see, you know, from other departments. I remember John Durant, who I worked with, you know, and he used to go to the scene with Dr. Fillinger, you know, and so that's part of your job on following up on. Let's say you get a call from a police department. What do you do the first thing? If it's let's say it's a murder case, what do you do? What do you say to the police?
Well, I'm not going to get a call from the police. I'm usually going to get a call from one of my detectives.
Detectives, okay,
so
I'm sorry.
that's the way. No, that's the way it goes. I'll get a call from one of my detectives.
In other words, the county detectives. Okay, okay.
And they're going to talk to me. A lot of times I'll get a call before they even know.
But in other words, your job is to make sure the warrants are proper, the legal aspects of it, because you're preparing the case for court, right?
That's a big part of it. There are really two things that I have to do. One is to make sure that legally everything's right, that when we need a warrant, we get the warrant, that we have probable cause in the warrant, that if we need to go get a sealed search warrant, we put the right information in it.
Right.
You know, just we dot the I's and cross the T's. If we're going to take a statement from somebody, we have to know whether or not we have to give them Miranda warnings or not. And so on all legal issues, I'll work with them. And that's one piece. But the other side is to just, from the very beginning, from the minute something happens, to put together a case and an investigation that down the road, a year or 2 or 3 or whenever it is, when we go to court, that we have a rock-solid case.
Right,
we want to have a case that nobody can wiggle out of. We don't want any technicalities. We don't want any reasonable doubt. We want to just close down every avenue so that we have the person who committed the crime dead to rights. And that's what we do. And that part is not so easy, because sometimes when you're at the scene, you don't know what you're going to need down the road. So that's why we work so closely together with the detectives and the DAs to just think of everything. You know, the more people you have working on it, everybody brings a different perspective. I might think of something, one of the detectives might come up with something, and it's the benefit of all of these different opinions, all of the different insight that comes together that gives us the strongest possible package. And I think that's what has really given us such great results in court, because we do work like that. We're thinking about not just getting to the arrest, but we're thinking down the road to, I mean, first finding who did it, getting the person arrested, prosecuting successfully, and seeing them sentenced.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know, I think the police job is who, what, where, when, and why. You don't have to worry about why. You want to know who, what, where, and all. You'll find out, well, let the psychiatrist find out why they did it.
Well,
okay?
see, I'm curious all the time. I always want to know why.
Well, you'll find out why after you have all the other stuff together, you know.
You hope.
But, you know, look, I'm so happy that you were able to be here today and to fill it. I'm going to give Don Giordano, this morning I had to run around and get you right out of the courthouse. And so...
I don't get out of there that much, but it was a pleasure to get out today.
I really appreciate, and the fact that now I find out that you're half Sicilian, my own, and you know, I have a Jewish sister-in-law. Well, she passed away, but I say what a great that, you know, it's great that we have nationalities together, you know, and your background, and I'm going to invite you to one of our Sicilian groups, okay?
It'd be my pleasure. Absolutely love to.
So thank you very much for being here, and I wish you well, and I'm sure the way you present yourself and the information you have, you got something good down the road, believe me. And if ever you need a campaign guy, I'm going to be your campaign guy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for allowing us to come into your house and or your home, and we'll be seeing you, and happy holidays and God bless. Thank you.